Up and running, and Villa 1 is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another Fans Forum special. This time with some other Villa podcast royalty. I've got Paddy and Neil from For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Hello, boys. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks a million for having us on, guys.
Great
The
stuff.
Irish are taking over, Martin.
Absolutely. We're not here just to take
outnumbered tonight, Rich.
I know, mate. I know. hopefully, a couple of other. I think George might be joining us, and Kev might be joining us as well. But it has got a very, very Irish flavour, and we just love it. We just absolutely love it. So, guys, get your comments in. You know what happens on the fans forum. It's a bit of a free for all. So get your questions in for the boys. And we'll go through as many as we possibly can. Get your comments in. We've got a few things that we want to talk about, just reflecting generally on what a 2023 it's been. But guys, make sure you get those likes in, as John says on the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We are over 2,900 subscribers. We're on the road to 3K. Can we do it this week before Christmas? That was our target. You guys can help us do it. So like, subscribe, get your comments in. And we were just talking backstage, lads, about when we had the UTV podcast boys on. There was some crazy news at the time, and I can't remember what it was, but Villa Twitter went crazy yet again today. Goes absolutely crazy again. Chris Heck comes out of the wilderness 6 months into the job, does his interview, and then all of a sudden we get announcements of new, not a new badge, but a new marketing for the new image for the 150 year celebration, and then we get news that the North Stand expansion has been put on hold. Before we get into kind of reflecting on the year, Paddy, for you first, mate, what were your kind of thoughts? As I say, Twitter goes into meltdown, all sorts of conspiracies. How do you react to it?
Well, first of all, there was a sense of disappointment, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to is having a 50,000 seater stadium, and something to be proud of. But the bottom line is, I can see exactly where they're coming from. It is a risk. They're obviously gambling on the fact that we could be in the Champions League at the end of the season, and they want those 5 home games in the Champions League that would be guaranteed to have a full house with the 43,000 as opposed to the 36,000, which is fair enough. But on the other hand, really, really wanted this to go ahead. Really, really wanted to be done yesterday. So it's something we're going to have to wait for. I don't envisage it's something that's going to be parked. I don't get the whole the rhetoric on Twitter about we're moving stadium and all that kind of stuff. That's never going to happen.
No,
it's absolutely never going to happen.
Yeah.
So look, while it's frustrating, I'm not overly annoyed at what's going on. It's fine. It'll happen eventually. And myself and Neil spoke about it today. There's still another 4 years before we need to be up to speed before the Euro 2028.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Neil, do you think it's a fairly wise move? And I guess when he was talking about kind of not doing it all in one go, does that hint to the fact that rather than doing it, like I say, as a huge stand going and then losing that whole capacity, maybe done in stages, maybe? I'm not so sure. What do you think?
So I've alluded to this a couple of times in our own podcast. I have been in the fortunate position of being involved in feasibility studies for a stadium redevelopment and a brand new stadium. I've been involved in a previous occupation. I have been involved in that, and I know that you might leave the site, or you might leave the project room on a Friday and you come in on Monday and everything has changed because of various different factors. It's huge. Like it's not a simple case of everything changes. Everything changes because it's a massive undertaking, and that goes the same for any big massive building project. So the reason that I threw that out there was, I found it incredibly frustrating. Specifically, and we were only doing the feasibility study. We didn't do any drawings. We didn't do any tender packages. We didn't do any. We didn't go out to any engineers or anything like that. And it was solely just a feasibility study for redevelopment of a stadium. And trying to get people to agree on a redevelopment of a stadium is just bonkers. Like it's really, really difficult because the owners will want clean lines. They'll want no obviously no poles or whatever and visibility, and then that's fine. Yeah. And then the engineer will come back and go, yeah, well, it's going to cost you this much, and he goes, going to find a new engineer, and then you're waiting 6 weeks for Anyway, I won't get into that. There's probably loads of people in the trade that are familiar with that, and loads of people that might be quantity surveyors or engineers or whatever that have been in that situation before. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it's a topic that when I'm going to speak in it here, I suppose that I don't know what the situation is, and it's why I'm kind of very blasé about the whole thing because there's so many moving parts in it that I'm of the opinion at the minute whereby if it's not right for Villa from a financial point of view, if it's not right from Villa from a timing point of view, and if it stunts what we could potentially do on the field for the next 2 to 3 years, I'm okay with holding off on it. And the reason being is that if you read into it word for word, and this could be completely and utterly wrong, but if you read into it word for word what Chris Heck says, he said he's paused it for next year, so it's not going ahead next year.
Yeah,
and he's not said that it's not going ahead. We've also just signed a deal with our new partners, who are infrastructural partners. The conspiracy, I don't want to call them conspiracy because they're not conspiracy, but I suppose there is a train of thought on social media whereby those guys have come in to asset strip the Villa Park. And personally, I think this is not true. Okay, so we'll just throw it out there that they've come in to sell Villa Park. It's right beside beside Aston, what you call it there, and that they're going to move everything out to the NEC and they're going to build there, which is 10 minutes away from nowhere. Exactly out there in Solihull with no amenities around it whatsoever. I don't think that's going to happen. No. But going back to us, so what I think is that these guys have come in here and that I don't think that Villa could hang their hat on the infrastructural side of the train stations with regards to two main factors. Number one, if Villa went away and started building this stand, they're still going to have the issues. So, I'm going to roll back a small bit. So, some people are saying that we're not thinking of Villa and they're not thinking of future-proofing Aston Villa at the moment. I think actually the opposite. And the reason I think that is because you go in and you build this lovely new stand and you've got even more congestion coming out. Fans are going to be way more pissed off at you, way more annoyed at you for that. They're already at boiling point now about egress and exit from the stadium at the moment. It's going to be nuts if you throw an extra 10,000 seats on top of it. That's just basic maths. I think the government, I think the club are also looking at it and saying, okay, and this isn't the politics podcast or anything like that, so please don't anyone take that, but there'll be a general election here in Ireland next year. There's likely to be a general election in the UK next year. What happens from a governmental point of view? Because the funding is going to be governmental. It's going to have to be because the council in Birmingham ain't exactly flush with cash, as we found out recently. So where's this money coming from? It's obviously going to come from the government to the FA to be distributed out. So what's going to happen from that point of view? There is no framework. I've read through the whole Euro 2028 guideline and plans, specifically with regards to the infrastructure. They mentioned that they want to create a great infrastructure. There's zero detailed plans with regards to that. So I think what the club are doing here is they're going, let's park it for a year, because we don't want to rush this specifically for Euro 2028. And they don't want to rush it at all. They've got these lads in bed with them now, I can't pronounce their name, the new benefactors or the new partners.
Airtos, I think it is it?
Airtos. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. So I'm waiting for that shoot to drop, for that to be ratified, and then I would imagine that the club will come out with some new potential plan over the next 6 to 12 months. But the interesting thing for me is that I think shoots the fox of people saying we're going to move away from Villa Park is the imminent redevelopment of the warehouse, the imminent redevelopment of the hospitality, and the imminent redevelopment of what is this? Oh, the shop, the club shop. I know they're only small pieces, that leads me to believe that they're going to develop the area around the ground slightly while we have it at the moment, and still try and bring the ground up to the level that would be needed from a hospitality point of view for Euro 2028. And if the FA take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't. And Villa will be minimally out of pocket, while still be able to keep the amount of seats they have now in the hope that we get to the Champions League. I think they're boxing clever. I would love a new stand. Don't get me wrong. I'd absolutely love a new stand. But the difference between today and the 19th of December and when they start to knock the stand in June of 2024?
Yeah, June next year was the original plan,
There is a ton of ambiguity in that 6 month corridor that the club are probably looking at going, let's just pump the brakes on this now for a minute, because a year and a half ago or a year ago when this was announced, we're not in the same place as we are, or we certainly won't be in the same place in June. So I think the pumping in the brakes of it is smart. They haven't said they're shelving it. I don't think they're shelving it. I think that's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction from people. We're completely entitled to have that opinion, 100%. But my view on it is, from a feasibility point of view, I can definitely get on board with this, albeit I would love more seats in the stadium so that I could go. And so I want the new stand, but I can see why they've done this based on my previous background of looking at feasibility for these before.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was very long-winded. Jesus, I'm looking at 11 minutes in the top left-hand corner, and 4.5 of those must have been mine.
Love it, Neil. Love it, mate. Love it. Martin, I'll come to you in a sec, but loads of people getting in the chat about it, so we'll just go through some comments. Bakes AVFC, totally agreed. Imagine getting the Champions League for the first time in generations and seeing a quarter of the stadium empty. Ian Whitehouse said, Chris Heck is right. It would kill the atmosphere, which could be potentially damaging if we are looking to defend us being Premier League winners. Aurelio Gomez says, Birmingham are broke and can't develop the transport links. Supermark says, getting that infrastructure in was never going to happen under the current government, as far as I could see. Hopefully things might ease up next year when they're finally gone, getting in the politics there as well. Ricochet says, boys, we're getting bogged down with the Euros. Who cares about whether we'll be featured on the Euros? No one remembers a single stadium for the World Cup. All we care about is Aston Villa. Gaz says, I so badly want the new stand. I wish they hadn't said anything if it wasn't set in stone. It's like being promised a date with Scarlett Johansson and you go and
get
bloody Bella Emberg.
Well, I don't know where Bella Emberg is. I'm going Googling Bella Emberg.
But yeah, just quickly, Martin, in terms of the other piece of information that Chris Heck posted, the logo for celebrating 150 years. What did you think about that? Because again, that caused a little bit of a stir on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit 50-50 with that. Like, the longer I look at it, the more appeasing it looks how the writing is. But then when I look at the design of the whole thing, and I'm kind of like, I don't really like the design, but I can see what he's trying to do, AV 150, like, underneath. Me personally, I'm not a fan of it, but the more I look at it, it is appeasing, and just in terms of the writing and all that, and it looks very neat, looks very, like, modern. But me personally, I wouldn't be for it. If it was me designing it, I would say do something like try to bring it back to the first original badge of Aston Villa. That way, then people can see the history. For those that may not know what the first badge is, can look at that and go, well, that's good, and bring it like sort of up to date to the new thing. But then again, I'm not in the design team, so I wouldn't really know what to be doing. So yeah, but me personally, I'm not a fan, but I can see what he's trying to do, and I don't blame him.
Yeah. Paddy, your thoughts on it? Do you think it's going to be one of those? I guess to create discussion on social media, that's what it's about, whether it be positive, negative. I think it'll probably grow on people the more it's kind of put out there and featured on various promotional products. What do you think? Do you think it's a grower, or do you think it's a non-starter?
Well, when I looked at it first, my first opinion was that's actually really hard to read. But when you put it away from yourself, it stands out. Like, it's literally going to probably go between the shoulders of the shirt. It's not going to go where the badge goes. Yeah. It could be on the sleeve. Neil, you'll remember a few years ago, Galway United did a little nod towards the 40th anniversary of us winning the European Cup with Eamon Deasy. or winning the league with AMDC, I should say. And there was a little AV81 down in the corner of the shorts, very subtle. And I'd imagine that's exactly how this is going to be used as well.
They actually have a lion under their shirt this year to commemorate MNDC as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Pretty cool. My thoughts on it are keep the line for the badge, and the lamp should be the logo for the 150th anniversary. We're the only club that was formed underneath a lamp. There's other clubs that have lines. Now you could also flip it the other way and say put the lamp in the logo. So if that's the way, but when they showed us stuff to do with the lamp with regards to the logo, the last time I wasn't a huge fan. But I think I'm not a massive fan of what they released today. But to be honest with you, as I say, it's not really going to bother. I'm still going to buy whatever it's put on. So I spend a lot of time talking about badges, and I think that it's I think I'm kind of weary of it at the minute.
Yeah, I get you. We're up to full quota. We've got Kev and George in the house now. Boys, how are you doing? Kev, little video that went out, my Chris Kamara moment. That was
So
classic.
So good. Yeah, it's the closest I'll get to being Jeff Stelling's level of football punditry and commentary, but I'll take it anyway.
Yeah, it was all good fun. All good fun, but yeah, literally, I didn't see it. I did not see it happen with old Kamara getting sent off. I don't know if it was the few beers that I had or just the view. I couldn't tell you. Right, let's get into the main part of the show, guys. Do hit the like button though, please. Hit the subscribe button. Help us on the road to 3K, and keep getting your questions and comments in. But yes, before the show, we wanted to do a little bit of reflection on 2023. And yeah, I asked you boys 4 questions to kind of have a think about over the last few days. We'll come to the first one that we wanted to talk about, and again, everyone get involved in the chat with this. I wanted your favourite game of 2023 and why. George, I'll come to you first, mate. What was your best game of 2023?
Well, I'll tell you what, boys, there was a fair few to choose from, weren't there? And it's normally there's probably 2 or 3 outstanding games in any season over the last however many years. I literally had to scratch my head thinking about this. I was like, Jesus, we just keep winning and winning, don't we? And we've been very spoiled. I've decided to go for the Newcastle game. The 3-0 against Newcastle last season. We were on a great run, weren't we? It was our sort of post-World Cup push for Europe. I think it was the 5th game in a row we'd won. Newcastle come to Villa Park. They were flying high themselves in a Champions League position, and I just think it was a bit of a coming of age performance. I think it was the performance of a decade from Watkins. I couldn't think of a better Villa performance since the dark days started after Martin O'Neill left. I just thought he was unplayable that day. Absolutely tore Newcastle a new one, and I just thought we were outstanding. Atmosphere was great, and it just got Villa Park live and kicking and got us believing, and we've gone from strength to strength ever since.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal game. I think Ramsey as well got us. I mean, right from the off, we were well up for it, and Ramsey got the early goal. Like you say, Watkins straight away kind of put pressure on their defenders. Could have scored inside the first 2 or 3 minutes. And one of my enduring memories of that game was John McGinn absolutely dominating Dan Burn. That was just hilarious. That was hilarious. But yeah, amazing game, amazing performance, and one for me that I'll always cherish, because obviously I live in Newcastle, and it's always good to get one over on them boys who give me a lot of grief, So they can't talk much this season, though, I tell you. But yeah, it's all good. What else? Ian says Newcastle 3-0. Nobody expected that performance. Heredia Gomez says Newcastle 3-0. Or Man City this season. Maybe someone else could have that. Though I do like a bit of chin pie, so maybe Brentford. Gary in the house says not Stevenage. Yeah, definitely not Stevenage. Paddy, what about you, mate? What's your favourite game of 2023 and why?
This is a really difficult one, because I thought about going a bit left field and naming a game that we actually lost, which was the last game we lost at home against Arsenal, because I was at that game and it was the first time I felt that there was something really special brewing, despite the fact that we lost the game, obviously, and we lost 4-2. But if we didn't go chasing the game and Emi Martinez didn't come up for the corner, it so easily could have been 3-2. if they had have gone by the letter of the law and ruled out the goal that came back and hit Emi Martinez because there was someone standing in front of him, it would have been 2-2, and that would have been a statement of intent. And it would have made the rest of the Premier League have a look around and say, what are these guys at? But look, we got into it. It was one of those stepping stones that led to the run that went on afterwards. But there's only one winner for me, and that was the one that was mentioned there in one of your comments, is the Man City game. To go, I don't know whether you guys know, but all my family are Man City fans. So to go and play Man City off the park for 90 minutes, and but for 2 shots in the space of 10 seconds, never looked like conceding in the 90 minutes. Other than that, they never got anywhere near a goal. They never looked like we were under pressure. It was just, for me, the most perfect 1-0 performance. By right, we should have scored more goals. It should have looked better than it was.
Absolutely.
And I think if somebody just looked at the scores that came in that night, they would have said, "Oh, Villa got lucky and they got a smash and grab there and they won 1-0." But everybody got to see that game because it was on at 8:15, so everybody saw the last half an hour when they switched over from whatever game they were watching, and they saw an absolute complete performance from a well-trained team. And I would go as far as saying it was in all my years supporting Villa, it was our best performance ever. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I say you were smoked to your family, were you, Paddy?
Well, nobody has spoken to me yet.
They won't dare, mate. They won't dare.
We're waiting on Christmas dinner for that argument, I suppose.
Oh, they're hiding still.
Kev, you obviously messaged me in the chat. I think you're in full agreement with Paddy there, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is with the most unbelievable last 13 months, it's there's just so many to choose from. I've just I'm wearing as you can see, a bit of a retro Villa shirt tonight. I've just come back from playing football, straight from the pitch to fill in for Rich, who couldn't make it. And I was chatting to one of the guys, and I was saying I genuinely think that not even Klopp or Pep would have had the kind of impact that Unai Emery's had in the last 13 months. I genuinely believe no one else could have done what he's done. It's just been such an unbelievable turnaround. Yeah. So because of that, I mean, I didn't know where to start. I mean, Arsenal was a real dig-in win to cement it on the back of that Man City win. You could argue that's almost as impressive because you've done it back to back. The Newcastle win clearly was the first one we thought, hang on a minute, something's happening. I thought the West Ham win was really fantastic. I just thought, this was a team that was supposed to be big challenges for top 6 or 7. And, we played them off the park. But Man City, for me, for all the reasons that Paddy gave, I just thought it was a complete performance. And it was the first time that people were saying, I've even seen people say recently on like certain fans, like videos for other clubs, or that have been lucky they've played at home, they've played no one. And that was the first game and they went, they've beat Fulham, they've beat Spurs, they've beat Chelsea, who aren't what they used to be. Man City, they'll come unstuck against them. And good man, Michael, good man. And that was the one where everyone thought we were just going to fail. And we played that game that night. I was just incredibly proud of being an Aston Villa fan. Whoever's gone out, tell them to hurry up. I'm incredibly proud of being an Aston Villa fan. All the things we've been through over the years, particularly with Man City being, I think I said this on our pod a few weeks ago, I've got so many memories of them tanking us at Villa Park and being on a train stuck outside Aston Station, going back, and there's Man City fans singing that Kun Aguero song over and over again, and I can see that they've now overtaken us and we're plummeting down, and just to see that kind of go full circle, well, not only are we competing with them, but we're beating them, and 1-0 really flattered them. So yeah, absolutely for me.
Fantastic. Neil, what about you, mate?
Man City is probably the answer, but I'm going to go with something different, and I'm going to say Unai Emery had taken one training session and we welcomed Manchester United to Villa Park on the 6th of November, I think it was. And we were 2 goals up within 11 minutes. And for me, I literally, genuinely, there's probably a print on the table because I was watching it here where I'm sitting. There's probably print on my table still from my jaw hitting the table going, what? Leon Bailey scored and then Lugadine pings one in the top corner with a free kick. And Then Jacob Ramsey scores their own goal, and then straight after half time, we get a third goal, and we're 3-1 up, and we're 3-1 up after 49 minutes, and we hold on to it. And there's no Federico Macheda to come in, and there's nothing that anyone can do to take it away from us. And Unai's been in the building one day, and for me, I remember I walked out the door here. My better half was outside. I don't know what she was doing. Maybe she was doing something in cleaning out the shed or something. I know I should have been helping, but I had more important things to be doing here. And I remember I walked out and I went, "You'll never believe it." After because she'd heard me giving out about Steven Gerrard for weeks, months previously, and I goes, "You never believe it. We're 2-0 up against Man United, and there's 11 minutes gone." And then she turned around and she went, "Don't believe you." Like that. That was the way it was. So that game always sticks out in my mind because he was one day in the gig, and then he pulls off something that Premier League managers or Aston Villa managers have tried for 2-3 years before getting the boot, and he does it one day, and that was a precursor to what was to come. And we're now reaping the rewards, and I can't wait to face him again the 29th. You know, I just can't of this coming month because you know, we are third in the league, joint second in the league is where we are at the moment, and it's really set the tone because now we relish playing the big teams, and it all stems for me from that game.
100%, mate, and I think it showed that Unai Emery, I mean, like you say, one training session and he can work out a tactical plan that quickly to kind of hurt a team like Man United, the history that is of us not beating them for so many years, etc., etc. But it was a precursor because now you look at how we approach different games, different styles, different teams, and we're so effective against them. And like you said, that was if he could do that after one training session, then look what he's done after 13 months. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. Martin, round us off with this for your favourite game of 23. I've got loads of comments as well that I will read out, but yeah, give us your thoughts.
I've gone with something a little bit more personal because all the games you've mentioned, like, don't get me wrong, fantastic games, but I went with us beating Bournemouth 3-0 on Paddy's weekend, simply because I had gone to the game and obviously I'd seen the Leeds game prior, and I could see at that time we were still adjusting to the whole Emery era. But that game for me against Bournemouth we were really starting to understand the blueprint of what Unai Emery was doing and how he just contradicted Bournemouth. And Douglas Luiz was getting a goal. I remember there was a fan sitting next to me. He had Jacob Ramsey to score first, and Jacob Ramsey goes and scores second, and he was absolutely fuming. For me, it was just like a fun day out, and it was St. Patrick's weekend. Villa won. What more could I have asked for? So for me, that's just kind of like a personal one. It was a fun vibe of everything that was going on, and that whole weekend just went right for me. So me personally, I've gone with Bournemouth 3-0. I know it's not something that anybody's going to have, but I've gone with one just as my personal thing.
Rich, can I just say quickly? It says a lot about Villa's evolution under Emery, that fans now get annoyed when we score goals because it's the wrong person that scored. I mean, all the times down Villa Park, we were desperate to score a goal against Bournemouth or someone like that, and now it's like, the wrong bloody player scored. You ruined my bet. We're going to win anyway, but couldn't have done it before.
Yeah, that's what happened to Germany. He was like, I've got Jacob Ramsey for a score. Watch, it's gonna happen. 7 minutes in, Douglas Luiz scored. But I wouldn't mind if Douglas Luiz missed the ball. Ramsey was gonna get it, and he was fuming. I said, lad, you're gonna have to put on Jacob Ramsey to score next. I'm telling you now, that's probably what's gonna happen. He says, no, that's it. I've given up. But then when it got to like the 50 or 60 minute, he was trying to do it, but his phone stopped working. So like he was fuming, and he was like, right, it's probably not gonna happen. It's gonna stay 1-0. No. Jacob Ramsey goes and beats your man and gets a second. And I just looked at him, went like this, and he just looked at me and went, don't talk to me. Just don't talk to me.
Typical. Boys, interesting that we've chosen all home games. Interesting that
I just realised, Rich, I cheated. I just named the game from 2022. So
yeah,
I don't know. Mine is null and void. I think.
Oh well.
Mine is null and void.
I was just about to pull him up on him, Martin. I was going to say, don't you be apologising for picking the game.
I was there going, hang on, that was in 2022, wasn't it? No, I was going.
We'll let you off, Neil. We'll let you off.
Yeah.
We'll let you off. The whole
Get out of
time
jail
of
free
Emery
card.
has been a dream. So that's fine, mate. That's fine. Ian says Newcastle 3-0. Nobody expected that performance. Gary says it's any win, but City is the one for him. Jam Jack says has to be Brighton 6-1. Day after my birthday, sitting in a Turkish bar next to a Brighton fan. He was very quiet. I bet he was. Dunk said the 1-0 Man City match was an unreal performance, cup final like. Ian also said Brighton and West Ham also need a mention. Mark in the house says, for me, it has to be the City game too. Absolutely dominated them. Phenomenal team performance. Most people saying City. Ricochet, you can't look past Man City. That was the real coming of age. The confidence it gives the players, confidence it gives the fans will be looked back on as nothing short of transformational. And Soupy Mark said he really liked the last Arsenal game. Not so much because of the actual match, but the salt afterwards was absolutely delicious. And Mark also said he's forgot about the trip to the Luton game. His little one, his Ben's first trip to Villa Park, so that was his favourite. So just so many lads, so many, just absolutely fantastic. On to the second question. So your player of 2023. Who will I go to first? Let's go Paddy first. What are you? What were your thoughts on your player of 2023, mate?
Thanks for going for me first, because I have a feeling a lot of these are going to pick this same player, and having to come in behind them is very difficult. But for me, it's an easy one, and it's Douglas Luiz. I just think what that man has done in 2023 has been nothing short of phenomenal. He's just an incredible. See, you had it ready. I knew you knew it was going to
be. To be fair, I've got a few, so I have prepped a few. Yeah, I have prepped a few.
I'm getting a bit worried because somebody told me today he's back with Alicia, and I think his form had peaked and got better when they split up last year. So I hope that's not an omen for the future. But jokes aside, you know, for what that we obviously knew there was a player in there. We're now playing in a system which suits him just perfectly. And he's got amazing players around him to make his job a whole lot easier, and it's given him the chance to shine. Started on New Year's Day with that goal against Spurs. That was one of the highlights of the year as well that nobody mentioned. And look, he's just gone on from there, from strength to strength, stepping up on the big occasion now, taking penalties as well, taking those free kicks into the box. Everything is just there for him. He's just got the world at his feet. He's back in the Brazil squad. You know, there's some honourable mentions there, but I'll leave that for others just in case there is somebody else.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, he's just such a mature player now. You know, you really notice when we've had the European nights where he's come on and changed the game. We've obviously missed him. You know, the other day when he didn't play, we showed real character to come through. I also love the fact that Emery still wants and expects more from him, and that's kind of that keeping him motivated, Paddy. That's got to be a good thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we saw in his pre-match last week the way he said John McGinn could do more, and everyone went, "What?"
Yeah,
that's the kind of guy he is. He's going to keep these players on his toes, and no better man to get the best out of these players. And you know, I'm sure when we look back in 20 years' time, when Douglas Luiz's book is translated into English, he will give a lot of credit to Unai Emery for turning around his career, because there's no doubt about it. He's an amazing manager and has brought the best out of him.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Kev, you look like you're itching to get your say.
I'm literally just itching. That's all I was doing.
Well, there you go. You gave me the signal. What are you saying? Who's your player of 2023?
Well, I mean, to echo what Paddy said, I mean, everything he said about Luiz, absolutely. I think you guys obviously on our pod know that. I think Luiz is the best player at the club, hands down. I think he's just absolutely incredible. You know, he's turned into a £100 million midfielder. But my favourite player at the club, and who I'm going to go for, is John McGinn. I think particularly this season, I think the way he's taken to this slightly adapted role in the last year or so. And what's he got across the season so far? I think he's got six goals, 4 assists so far this season.
Yeah.
You know, it's his contribution we're finally doing what he's been doing for Scotland. I think he's only about 15-ish goals off being Scotland's top scorer, which is absolutely incredible when you consider he's a midfielder who plays for Aston Villa. You consider they've had, Dalglish and McCoist and all these players over the years. And, and not forgetting Chris Iwelumo and Stephen Fletcher, of course, sorry. So for McGinn to start doing that, but also, when we lost Mings, I feel like he was, he had a real struggle, didn't he, under Gerrard? He was out of the team, obviously, a little bit as well, a bit down the line. When Grealish was there, he was always in his shadow. And to see him now come through and be the leader that he is and be the heartbeat of the team. And, when he was punching the air against Brighton, a game we didn't mention, but that Brighton qualification game, I just think he epitomises everything about success of this club. And I think I said this on our last pod. I think he's going to be a shadow player this season across the whole Premier League. So it's brave arse for me.
Nice. Or is it McGriddy? Is that
McGriddy,
Is that the celebration? Yeah,
The McGriddy.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And he's. I mean, when he's on form in those games, I think of the Fulham game when he was just driving the team. Obviously, the two big ones, Man City and Arsenal, he's unplayable at times. Obviously, I talked about Dan Burn as well, the Dan Burn situation, Kev. Like when he is on it, he is just unstoppable.
Yeah, and also if you look at like that Man City game, it was like the experience of John Stones was getting bossed. It was the youthful exuberance of Rico Lewis. He was just taking all comers, like just like the Tasmanian Devil, basically. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. George, what about you, mate?
Yeah, I found this really tough, lads, to be fair. And again, it's nice, isn't it, that we've got the choice of a fair few players here. I'm going to sort of sit on the fence here and go with two because I couldn't split them. So I'm going to go with the man who stops the goals at one end and the man who scores the goals at the other. So we're obviously talking about Martinez, the goalie, who's just, he just gets better and better for me. Everything about him, all right. He didn't shine himself in a great light at the end of Sunday's game. But I think we can forgive him for that. He just exudes so much confidence. He whips the fans up. He makes everyone believe. You just look at the geezer and you believe, don't you? He's made countless saves.
Look at the points he's won for us the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. It's crazy.
Exactly, and he saves certain goals, two certain goals every single week. You just can't buy that, can you? He's brilliant. And as for Ollie Watkins, I just think where his reputation was, there was obviously a lot of flack, on this show, especially. We've said a lot of there's been a lot of criticism, certainly from Sam, as we know. But let's face it, he went on a fantastic run of goals at the back end of last season. I mean, what was it, 12 in 10 or something? That's propelled us into the Conference League. He's got his England spot back. Now this season, he's already got, I think he's got 10 goals already. He's now getting really important match winners. All right, he's probably not doing the same sort of shift that he used to do, but that's obviously what he's being told to do by Emery. But he's getting winners now, important goals. The goal at Brentford the other day, the goal at Spurs. He's coming of age, and I think all top teams need that sort of player. So they're going to be my two picks, boys.
Oh, I don't know if Neil and Martin will be a bit annoyed that you've had two there. Neil, what about you, mate?
Leon Bailey, just has to be Leon. No, it was going to be Ollie Watkins for me. I was just trying. The first person, Bailey was the first person that came to my mind there. But no, I had Ollie Watkins just solely because, look, once again, like the Man City game was the I suppose that was the obvious pick, I suppose, for a game of 2023. Douglas Luiz would be the obvious pick for this as well, and just for a different voice, so I said Ollie Watkins, and the reason being is because we would have been where Wolves were finished last season if it wasn't for Ollie Watkins. The difference between Villa and Wolves last year was Villa were scoring goals and Wolves weren't. Wolves' defensive record was pretty okay most of the season. They just couldn't put it in the back of the net, and we saw where they finished. And you see, they've never really recovered from it. They don't have a striker. We have Ollie Watkins, and Ollie Watkins you said 12 goals. He's got 9 in the league this season, 2 in the Europa Conference, and over the course of time since 2023, he's 23 goals and 9 assists. So that's 31 involvements in goals for us, which is absolutely massive. And considering this as well, he's also been an Iron Man for the club as well. He's not been injured. He's not been out. He's not been suspended. He's not been this. He's not been that. He's been really durable. And like, I'll be honest, I was like a cat in a hot tin roof on the last day of the transfer window in January last season going, he didn't sign someone, we're fucked. Like, and we didn't end up being, Ollie Watkins ended up relishing the role and scoring those goals last season. So it's Douglas Luiz has been our most enjoyable player to watch. But I suppose if you were to sit down and you were to count the beans and say who's won us the most points by putting the ball in the back of the net, it's probably Ollie Watkins. And for that reason, I'm just going to say Ollie Watkins.
Spot on, mate. Spot on. Martin, I'm sorry to do this to you, mate. I'm sorry to do this to you. There's a couple of big players that haven't been mentioned. I have to say, there's someone in the chat getting a lot of love. But yeah, who are you going for?
Well, clearly you're saving the best for last every time. I'm going for Ezri Konsa. Because I think for him to be under three different managers, Dean Smith, Gerrard, and Unai Emery, he's one of the first names on the team sheets every single time. So it goes to show his adaptability to three different managers and three different systems. He's shown how effective he can be. And not only that, he's a Rolls Royce of a centre half. The man's yet to be dribbled past. He's looked at every single striker he's come up against and said, bring it. And he's just had them in their pocket. And he's almost he's underrated by the media because everyone still hypes on about Van Dijk, Ruben Diaz. Also now they're going on about Gvardiol's in his first year and all this sort of stuff, and they don't really look at Konsa and his stats and go, hang on, he hasn't been dribble past. His ball distribution as well has been exceptional under Emery, which was something that I felt under the two previous managers it wasn't as strong, but he's adapted really well. And I felt this year he has done a lot of the hard work as opposed to, say, Mings and Torres that have come in and they're the ball carriers. They're, playing in between the lines, and where Konsa was kind of doing that little bit of the dirty work, being nasty, and when he got the ball, it was gone. And while he could still play football, I feel like to myself, I think Ezri Konsa definitely deserves a shout for me as the player of 2023 because I think he's just been a fantastic centre half. And if you think about it, different partners he's had, you would think Ezri Konsa could be one of the first names gone, but he's not. He's still there. And not only that, we still have to play him because that's why we're making him a makeshift right back to accommodate Carlos and Torres because we still need Ezri Konsa in the team. Like, you looked at Matty Cash and we go, right, we can move him out of the team if we have to. Martinez, obviously, you can't move him. The left back, you can still move around. You can move around the midfield, but you can't get rid of Konsa out of that starting 11. He is so vital to how we play in terms of the defending and going forward.
100%, mate. I really like his leadership as well now. I always felt like when with Mings, and he said it himself. Yeah, sometimes with Mings, he'd let him kind of do the talking. But now you can see him encouraging, you can see him telling people where to go, and true leader in the side. You said it yourself before, Kev. Like, just quickly, you talked about kind of goals, and desperate for someone to score a goal. Now we're kind of thinking there's like multitude of players that we can talk about being the kind of our favorite or the best player of 2023. It's just incredible.
It really is unbelievable. And there's players in there we've not even mentioned. I mean, you could give honourable mentions to some of the summer signings. I mean, Pau Torres, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's probably going to win a lot of these get a lot of these answers given about him at the end of the season. Moreno had an unbelievable impact after coming in January. It says a huge amount about Luca Dean this season from any kind of most improved shouts. I think Mings, up until he got the injury, I think Mings was absolutely sensational last season and second half of the season. So there's so many players we haven't even mentioned. What a time to be an Aston Villa fan.
Yeah. Loads of comments in. Ian saying John McGinn, mentality monster. Michael saying Konsa. Really random says Konsa's a Rolls and Power is a custom spec version. He also says Martinez would earn us as many points as Watkins. Gaz Williams really like to have Buendia is staying involved even though he's injured. Great to see him in the change rooms after games. He's itching to get back. Yeah, 100%. And he was playing well as well. Adamski really random saying Martinez as well. Soupy saying gonna have to go for Brave Arse himself. Just love his whole attitude. Mark saying Louise definitely for the year, but McGinn too this season, and Pau sensational. Gaza saying Louise all day long, could well be Pau next season. So yeah, so many people just playing really well. Jason there saying Bailey is a monster. Bailey is a monster as well. Yeah, so many people to talk about. Guys, we've got over 100 watching, which is just fantastic. Thank you so much for your support. Do make sure you smash the like button though, and do subscribe if you're new to the channel. We really do want to hit 3K before Christmas. We've got just under a week to do it, and I'm sure we can do it. So guys, help us out and help us on the road to 3K, and keep your comments coming in. A couple more questions, and we'll get to anyone who wants to throw a question in the chat. We'll keep it saved, and any questions for the boys, please do get involved in the chat. Favorite? What can we say about Unai Emery first? What a managerial appointment. What a 13, 14 months it's been. I have asked for kind of your favorite Unai Emery moment. It could be, I don't know, it could be anything, could be as little or big as you want, really. Martin, I'll come to you first because I came to you last time. But yeah, what's your favorite Unai Emery moment of 2023?
My favorite Unai Emery moment of 2023 is when he went to shake Gary O'Neill's hand, and Gary O'Neill kept him waiting. He just walked away. Gary O'Neill losing the plot, and Unai Emery just went and walked away, and there he was, rattled. It was brilliant. I love that. I just thought it was just really funny that Unai Emery was showing his class, and Gary O'Neill was there keeping him waiting, and he just walked away, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And just walked. He didn't even say a word. He went, and that's it. I just found it hilarious. So that's my moment of the year.
Loved it. Neil, what about you, mate?
Genuinely, I gave this loads of thought, and the great thing about Unai Emery is he's just there and he does his job, and he's a figurehead, but he's not somebody who is like, he's not like a Klopp who comes out maybe and says something that garners back page controversy or maybe comments and stuff like that. My favorite Unai Emery moment is essentially just like it's every time you see him because he's just so calm. Well, sorry, he's not calm, but because you see him on the touchline giving out to Matty Cash in every single game, and he's losing his nut. But I suppose what it is, like I actually don't have an answer for this, and I genuinely don't, because he's just gone on about his business. Actually, I have an answer for it. It's the picture when he was coming home on the bus and someone took it over his shoulder and he didn't know about it, and he was watching the game on the bus home from an away game. Don't remember what away game it was.
It absolutely sums him up.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was literally on the bus an hour and a half after the game, and he had the game on his iPad or his laptop or wherever it was, and he was watching it. And that's my favorite Unai Emery moment, because the game doesn't stop, the job doesn't stop. There's short turnarounds, and he's game planning straight away. So that's probably my moment. But I just love everything about him. He's a gentleman. That's what he is, and he's a professor. And all the words that they used to sum him up are not enough, because he is the best. He's the best we've had in recent memory, without a shadow of a doubt, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Paddy, what about you, mate?
Yeah, like Neil, I've had a long, hard think about this one, and you know what? I shouldn't have had to think about it for too long, because it's fairly recent. And when we played Arsenal, all I wanted was for us to win for him. We've had all our moments since he arrived, and for me, that was the one I would have wanted the players to give back to him. And when the game was over, I was in a pub full of Arsenal fans, and he obviously shook hands, kept walking, and then the smile came on his face, and I just thought, there you go, sir. You've got your moment. You've got your moment. A little fist pump, and away he went. Job done, down the tunnel. For me, that was just to see him as satisfied as we've been since he took over, and to get his little bit of enjoyment out of that was by far and away the best thing that happened for me anyway, from Unai Emery.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Brilliant. George, what about you, mate?
Yeah, my one. I think you mentioned it earlier, Paddy. Actually, it was the Arsenal game from last season. So obviously we've lost the game 4-2, haven't we? Action-packed, fast-flowing game, drama, exciting for the fans. We all thought, we were a bit upset we lost, but the common consensus was that we played very well in that game. And then Unai came out and absolutely slaughtered the team. Do you remember the interview? He goes, no. He goes, Martinez was an idiot for coming out. In his own words, he said, I didn't ask him to play like that. It's too fast. It's too furious. That's not my team. My team needs to look after the ball better. It needs to pass the ball better. It needs to calm down. And I just think there and then he's just, he's taught every fan and every player what his standards and expectations are for that team. And I think since that day, we just haven't looked back. Look at us now. Look how well we are. Look how good we are on the ball now. And like compared to a game like that where we all thought we did well, that was a million miles from what he wanted. And and now we're seeing what an Unai Emery team really is. And I just think he set his stall out there and then. And now we could go top of the league Friday, lads.
You had to get that one in there. Love it. Love
I
it.
had to do that one.
Kev, your favourite Unai moment?
Well, when Neil was talking, I mean, I couldn't agree more with his whole sentiment. I feel like with Unai, I'm in a relationship with him, and I love him more and more each day. And every time I turn over in the morning and look at him, I just feel this love coursing through my body. I adore him. I think he could be the man that could turn me, genuinely, because every time he gets out of bed, which he's probably about, an hour after he's got into bed, how obsessive he is, and turns up at Bodymoor Heath at Villa Park. I love him. But to pick a particular moment, I look, because he's obviously such a serious guy, such an obsessive, but I absolutely loved his little chuckle he did when he spoke about Bailey nearly scoring a goal on the weekend at Brentford. He talked about the assist and he kind of did a little like wry smile, then a little giggle to himself because when he said Bailey nearly scored the other end. So I just think it's nice to see the other side of him, that he has got, some good banter and a bit of a sense of humour. So yeah, in the craziness and all that, a little funny moment.
Yeah, agreed. My one, I did put this picture of. I thought maybe someone would say, but this after the West Ham game, when he went up to Mr. Dean Smith and said thank you for what you've done. I thought that was really, really nice moment, and again sums up the man. Obviously we had the year with Gerrard, but to kind of give Dean Smith that credit and so many of the players that are now developed and are doing so well, were signed by Dean and developed under him as well, which I thought that was a really nice moment as well. So, but yeah, I mean, all the examples are just great, and I think you said it, Neil. We're just so lucky to have him. It's just unreal. Gary says favorite Unai moment, simple, when he signed. I think someone had yours in there, Kev. The one about the last week. Ian says when we won against Pep, which was the first time he had won against him, and then in his interview said the result didn't feel special. It was just part of the process. He thinks Emery was fibbing. Rachel said, for me, the video of Emery at Villa Park, and he messaged about up the Villa addiction. He just gets us and Villa. What else have we got? Really random said my favourite Unai moment was his interview after Brentford. He said he wants more and to stay in front of everyone else chasing. Duncan said Emery's coat is exceptional. He used to have a different Stone Island jacket every week, didn't he, for a bit? I like that. I liked his style. But yeah, amazing stuff. Last question that we had you boys prepare for. And yeah, I mean, obviously an amazing 2023. Looking ahead though into 2024, Neil, what's one of your hopes for 2024 for Villa?
Yeah, so people who listen to our podcast will know that I regularly say that if Villa are getting into the Champions League, that there'll be 2 days of going around with no pants on, because I'll be that excited and I'll be celebrating that much. And if Villa win the league, there could be 2 weeks of it. So I'm looking forward to maybe not wearing pants for a couple of days. That would mean that we've had a successful season. But I think my hope for the season is that I suppose that we can keep up this. My hope for this for 2024 is that we don't go on like a 3 or 4 game losing streak. It's like last year we went on a 3 game streak, and Paddy alluded to it when we lost Arsenal, and then obviously we went on our non-losing streak then after that. I'm hoping that we can keep this lovely fluid run of performances and results going, because we've seen teams that have been up and about the top of the league at this time of year, and they've kind of died off and they've finished maybe 5th or 6th. Andy Brogan doesn't see that. No one said I was going to video it. No one said I was going to video my no offense.
You've also got to confirm for Adamski and the rest of the viewers whether you're wearing them now as well, mate.
Yeah. But yeah, so my big hope is obviously, look, that we finished in the top 4. Obviously, like, people talk about winning the league. Yeah, look, if we win the league, we finish in the top 4. So that's why I'm hedging my bets here. But I'd really, really love to see us win the Conference League. I think both are now very much a possibility, because I think January is going to be mega. I don't think that we're going to sign a lot of players, but I think that we will sign some players. And I don't think this squad, it needs as much of a filling, should I say, as maybe I thought at the start of the season. So everything to be hopeful for, and going two jumps better within Europe and getting into the Champions League, dining at the top table of European football, while also maybe being able to bring a small little bit of a cup to drink out of at that top table from the Europa Conference League as well, would be nice to do. So that's what my hope would be. Like, that would be the best season any of us have. I presume none of us were born, and none of us really remember 81 or 82. Well, maybe you do.
1 year old. Yeah.
I wasn't born till 85, but it would be the best year that I would ever have had as an Aston Villa fan. So that would be tremendous.
Fantastic. Just a quick super chat from Matt, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, mate. I think it's important to mention Austin McPhee. Some of his set pieces have been insane. Emery obviously saw something in him. I agree. He's had a lot of criticism across all quarters, I think, but yeah, we're kind of seeing it bear fruit a bit at the moment, which is good, really, really good. George, what about you, mate? Hope for 2024.
Well, do you know what? I just think I just want us to just do ourselves justice. We're in a lot of competitions. I just go for all of them. Go as strong as you can. If you get knocked out of the FA Cup by a team better than us, who plays better than us, take it on the chin. But don't go putting a load of kids out to get beat. Same as the Conference League. Do you know what I mean? If you get beaten by an Ajax, fair play, they're better than us. But if you throw your eggs in just one basket and then you fall away, you're always going to be thinking, what could have been. I just, we might die out after January in the league. Who knows? I hope we don't. But I just think you just give it your best, and hopefully come May, there's something to shout about. Maybe a Champions League place, maybe a trip to Athens, never maybe an FA Cup final, or maybe nothing. But just go out there, do your best, and do yourself justice.
Yeah, good shout. Kev, what about you, mate?
It's tricky on this one. There's just a lot of things I'm hopeful for. It'd be nice to win a bloody FA Cup game for the first time in 644 years. That'd be nice. Champions League qualification is the obvious answer for me, because I think it really cements us in the elite, the elite table of football. But my other hope, just to kind of bot onto that, is I hope that if we are there or thereabouts still, which I think we are going to be in January, that we do kick on and we do take the opportunity, because I think it would be really regretful if we look back the end of the season and we finished 5th and the Kerfishship wasn't quite good enough, because the teams don't do as well in Europe as we like to, and we think to ourselves, if only we'd have strengthened, bought in a spare striker, So I just hope we take the opportunity now. But for me, if we could get into the top 4, which I think, God, the way we're going at the moment, if you assess 2023 as a calendar year, you've got to get past the point of a Villa fan of thinking, we're going to mess this up, because that's what we always did. We're going to be the bridesmaid rather than the bride. I really feel now we are the real deal. I've got supreme confidence going into the next 3 games because of, look at the moment with the weekend. We had Dania and Louise suspended. Pau obviously came off with an injury. Tielemans was injured. You know, we haven't got Mings or Buendia, and we still managed to get a great result away from home, 1-0 down. So I just think that you know, where we are as a club now, I think we've gone here faster than we ever thought we would do. It's only been 13 months or so since Unai took over, but you've got to take your opportunities in life. And for Aston Villa right now, well, Chelsea are down, Man United are down, Newcastle have not had the start of the season they wanted, Spurs have dropped off a little bit, admittedly they're coming back. This might be our best chance to really cement ourselves there, so just want us to take it.
Yeah. Adamski, I'll come to your super chat question in a second. So thank you very much for that. Martin, what about you, mate? What's your one hope for 2024 with the Villa?
My hope for 2024 for the Villa is to win a trophy, and I don't care what it is, because they haven't won a trophy since 1996, which is the year I was born. So I've not really seen Aston Villa win a major trophy ever. And say we just want about the playoff trophy. Oh, that's a trophy.
What about
I'm
the
not
Peace
I'm not
Cup
accepting
or
it.
the
It's a trophy for third place. I'm not accepting it. So,
Queensland Champions Cup, Martin won it last year.
Intertoto
Queen
Cup.
Champions Cup.
Yeah.
The orange trophy, McGinn lifted that as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
What about the
Well-
one that John Terry had that was huge? That
Peace
one
Peace Cup.
pre-season?
Oh, yeah.
A couple of traditions or something, wasn't it?
Well, look, I either want an FA Cup, a Conference League, and dare I say it, if a
Go
Premier
on.
League tends to happen,
Oh, he's saying it. He's saying it.
I would take that too. But I'm cautious with the Premier League one, so Conference League, FA Cup is my preferences at the moment. I'm not getting caught up in this Premier League race at this moment in time.
Good man, good man. And round us off there, Paddy. What are you saying?
Well, I must have missed the memo because they all said 3 or 4 things there in all their answers.
I
But I've
know.
only got one answer for you, and it's a simplified answer. And I think that what makes us eat at the top table is Champions League football. And for me, I never thought in a million years I'd be saying this at this stage of the season. It's realistic, it's attainable. Now let's go and do it. And if we get Champions League, it just opens so many doors financially for us, and brings so much money to the table to strengthen the team, to bring in players who wouldn't ordinarily come because we have Champions League football. It just opens so many doors. So I would gladly give up the Conference League or the FA Cup for Champions League football, simply because I didn't think it was possible at the start of the season, and here we are.
Yeah. Great stuff. Jason said to enjoy the second half of the season as much as I've enjoyed the first half.
Yep.
Well, look, if it's anything like the first half, we can dare to dream. Absolutely. And Michael with a really good one. He's looking forward to seeing us all at Villa Park in 2024. Your joint successes, your honest and personality. Keep up the good work. Cheers, mate. And that's much appreciated. And we all love what we're doing on the podcast. So yeah, I'm great for your support in helping us along. So yeah, few questions before we finish up, boys. Adamski, thank you so much for your $10 Australian super chat there. Neil, I'll come to you on this one, mate. Where does a fully fit, match sharp Tyrone Mings fit into this Villa squad?
I don't see any reason why he can't fit in alongside Pau Torres if we're going playing Ezri Konsa at right back. I don't see any reason. I think he's picked a bad season to be injured. You know, for all he's been through with Aston Villa and the years that we've had, and you know, the captaincy being stripped from him, it would be absolutely fantastic. But I suppose realistically speaking, if he was in this squad right now, if he was in the squad and fit since the start of the season, he'd be playing at left-sided centre back. But I probably, the way now that Ezri Konsa has moved out to the right side, I would say it would be Konsa right side, and then Mings and Pau Torres in the centre of defence. And I know some people will say, "Oh, you can't play two left-footed centre halves together," and I say, "Why can't you? Why can't you?
Yeah.
You know, if they're your two best centre halves, they're your two best centre halves. Play them and let them figure it out." That's my view on it. So I think he's in there. There's no slighting Diego Carlos either. Diego Carlos was absolutely brilliant against Brentford. And like I think he had the most chances and clearances over the course of the whole game. But for me, Mings is the spiritual leader in the team, and you have to put him in there. And Pau Torres is a starter of attacks, and just from his passing ability, it would be a great problem to have, though. It'd be a super problem to have.
100%. George, your thoughts on that? Where Mings, fits into the squad when he comes back fit?
It's really hard to say, to be honest. I mean, when he got injured, I really did think it was going to wreck our season. I was really cursing our luck. But fair play to them, mate. I mean, we really haven't conceded. Our defensive record's pretty solid this year. Pau Torres, after his first few games, were a bit of a rude awakening. But since then, him and Konza, him and Carlos have, they've struck up good partnerships, haven't they? So I really don't know, to be honest. I think, like as you just said there's always a place for Mings because he is the leader, isn't he? He'll get himself back in there somehow, but I don't think there's a logical answer for me. That'd be up to Unai.
Yeah. Few people questioning around transfers. So let's talk transfers because we all love that. John says, which one player would you sign? What position? And I think there's a couple of other questions in about, do we go big in January? I think it was Ahmed asked the question. Paddy, what would you say, like, in terms of going big in January? Do you think we do that? And then the second question is, if it's just one player, who would that be for you in terms of a signing?
I don't believe that we'll go big in January. Other than if he got a few names out the door, then he would have to replace them. Talking about the likes of Chambers, Bertrand Traore, players on the periphery that may go out. But for me, the first signing has to come in on the 1st of January, and it has to be a right back. We're lacking in cover there. I would much prefer to see Ezri Konsa playing. And I'm going to answer the last question as well while I'm at it. I'd love to much prefer Ezri Konsa playing on the right side of a 3, which had Tyrone Mings and Pau Torres in it, and have a free flow and attacking left back and right back to go and be basically box to box when we're with and without the ball. So that's my first signing for January. And if that's not going to be our first signing, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah. Good one. What about you, Kev, in terms of do we go big in January or are we not? And then if it's one player we're getting, who's that for you?
I don't think we go big. How many bigs do you want to say? We're going to go big and a half. No, like I said in the answer about next season, the ambitions for the end of the season, 2024. I feel we do need to strengthen. And as Paddy says, I mean, if you look at our recent talking tactics that you and Gareth did, the amount of attacks down the left-hand side is crazy, isn't it? Really, like we have such amount more impact on that side of the pitch. I've got a lot of time for Matty Cash. I think he's been a real great player for us over the last few years. But when he plays right midfield, we really do struggle because he's just not creative enough. I think he struggles in that position. But also, I think, from a right-back perspective, he's playing a bit less lately because Konsa's proven himself with that system we're playing to be pretty effective. We need the same level of quality we've got in Moreno and Digne on that side. So right-back for me will definitely be an area I would strengthen. But I also think as well that we're only an injury from Ollie Watkins. We've talked about how durable he is on this pod, and he's been fantastic. He's one of those players. But there have been plenty of players that have been really durable up until the point that they're not. And clearly we keep our fingers crossed and touch wood and everything that nothing's going to happen to Ollie Watkins. But he gets an injury at the crunch time of the season when, I don't know, fast forward to March and we're 1 point ahead in the league and we're in the semi-finals or whatever it'll be of the Conference League, and then he gets injured and you've got to go with Duran. And not that Duran hasn't got potential and capability, but I just think if we had someone else that was experienced, that would see the attraction of, Villa going for 3 trophies. We've all seen players over the years join a Man United or Chelsea, in January in the summer and not be a bit part player and then all of a sudden end the season with 2 or 3 trophies. So why can't someone... And that's the thing I think right now. We talk about Monchi's Black Book and whatever he's got going, but it's not like they're coming to Villa at 16th in the league trying to stay up. They'd be coming because we're in the hunt. Realistically, if we strengthen, we've got a good chance in the FA Cup. It might be too much for us to fight on 3 fronts, of course. A good chance in the Conference League. And we're in the mix. Sure, it's a bit of a pipe dream to win it. So I think in that scenario, go.
Good. Martin, slightly different question on the sense for you. I know someone in the chat asked it. If we are to get into the dreamland of Champions League football for next season, do we then have to go big with transfers, in the summer, or does Emery kind of keep it with what he's got and kind of gradually build?
I would say go big in the summer. I think you can always improve your squad. Doesn't matter how long you've had them. You can always improve. There's always room for improvement. So I would say go big. Go big on potentially a midfielder. Because realistically, our three top quality midfielders at this moment in time is Kamara, Louise, and McGinn. Don't get me wrong, Tielemans hasn't been playing great, but I feel like another one would be in there. And I wouldn't mind going for a left winger. I feel like we're struggling for a left winger because we have two right wingers in Diaby and Bailey, where I know we play a 4-4-2 rigged system, but we don't really have someone that's so naturally a left-sided player. Don't get me wrong, I know McGinn's out there, but he tends to come on the inside quite a lot because he's naturally a centre midfielder. So I feel like we would need someone out there. Yes, I say defense field, I don't think we're too bad. So I wouldn't be going for someone out there unless you bring in a right back just to cover for Matty Cash or someone who improves on Matty Cash, because I think we are fairly thin in that position, and as well as a striker. So I think we should be going big in the summer if Champions League place happens.
Fair enough. Boys, I will come just for a last kind of, I guess, roundup of your thoughts on Villa for the year, just to finish up. But just quickly, we are looking to do members competitions, and I have promised this for so long, and I've actually got all the names in the hat for the random draw, and you're lucky Sam isn't in it, so he can't win. So yeah, I put everyone's name in the hat to win the calendars, or one of the calendars that was very kindly sent to me. But I can't remember who it was now. But yeah, really nice calendar that I will send out. So yeah, all names are in there. I'm going to pick a random name out of our members to win the prize. Don't forget, if you do want to become a member, it's just $1.99 a month. We will have more regular members only prizes. I've got the next one on the conveyor belt ready for the after Christmas. So yeah, do join in the channel and become an official Villa Pod follower. But let's go with the random name and who has won, and it is Adamski, who is the
all the way
winner.
down under. That's going
the most expensive postage I could get. But well
Richard,
done, mate.
Richard, have to redo it. We can't afford to send it that far, mate. Sorry, mate.
He's paid for it with his super chat, so it's fine.
Yeah,
it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. But yeah, well done, mate.
Well done.
Prize will be winging its way out to you. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your support for the channel. Yeah, before we get everyone away, and like I say, boys, thank you so much for coming on. But just to finish up on your, I guess, just summing up your thoughts about the season so far, the year under Unai Emery. Neil, I'll come to you first, mate. I mean, it's just utter dreamland.
Absolutely. I'm not going to spend too long on this. Sum up my thoughts. You could do it in 2 words: top notch. That's it. It's been better than any of us could have ever thought. You could morph the last 6 Aston Villa managers, and everybody here and everybody watching, if they ever watched our podcast, will know how much I absolutely love Dean Smith. But you could morph our last 10 managers together, and they wouldn't touch the sides of Unai Emery. We're that lucky to have him. And they knocked out of the park when they signed him, and he is our identity. He's forming our identity. I suppose he's not our identity. I think that's because one man is bigger than the club, but he's forming our identity that we've been looking for since, probably 1996 when Martin was born. It's probably since then. We haven't really had an identity, and to win cups, hopefully will become part of our identity. So absolutely top notch from Unai and from Villa on the field in 2023.
Yeah. Paddy, I'll give you the final word, mate, or words. Yeah, just sum it up for us. The year under Unai, or the 13 months under Unai, going into this 2023.
Well, I think for me, 2023 has been the pinnacle of the 31 years supporting Aston Villa. It has been the most complete year, to get us back into Europe, to have us up around the Champions League places with the possibility of going top for at least 18 hours on Friday night. We'll all screenshot it and enjoy it while we can if we get there. If we don't get there, absolutely fine. It has to end somewhere. But 2024 is going to be huge for this club, and I'm enjoying the ride, and long may it continue. And happy Christmas to everyone that listens to your podcast or watches it or tunes in, and your members. Thank you so much for having us on. I've really enjoyed your company, and yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, couldn't have put it better myself, mate. And thanks to you boys for coming on, and amazing work you do on your podcast as well. And yeah, hope to have you on very soon as well. You're welcome any time. Boys, thank you so much as well for your contributions. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button on your way out if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Help us on the road to 3K. We've got plenty more shows for you coming up this week. We've got match preview for Sheffield United. Hopefully that will take us to the top of the league. We've got talking tactics as well with Gareth. Instant match reaction, again, hopefully a winning one. So loads and loads and loads of content to come. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Once again, thank you, boys, from the For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. It's amazing having you boys on. Happy Christmas, everyone. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa. Thanks,
Get a little
everyone.
bit.